Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this crazy planet. I'm really honored to be hosting tonight in France, and in the afternoon for her, Elana Freeland, who is on the west coast of the U.S. Hi, Elana, how are you?
Hi, Mark. At last, we made it.
Yes, we made it. We tried once, and my internet bandwidth wasn't that good, actually, and it didn't pan out well. You're welcome to the show, the Dimensions TV, the DTV show, and as part of the CoronaX files. I don't know if you're aware of my research for the last 2 years with this crazy NWO program that you'll be talking about through your research and geoengineered transhumanism. You actually came up with a new book. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I've been doing this now for over 10 years. I've written 3 books in that time. The most recent book is Geoengineered Transhumanism, how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetism, and nanotechnology for synthetic biology. So what I'm doing in this book, which is a very big book, Mark, it's 690 pages. Wow. I'm connecting the macro picture of the environment with the micro picture of our cells and our DNA. So in order to do that, I start out with geoengineering, which I've been following now for 10 years. And the other 2 books, one came out in 2014, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. And then the second book came out in 2018, and that was Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. So in doing each book, it's important to realize that in a way, I was studying the whole thing myself while I was writing. It wasn't like I had a big PhD and therefore I could write on this topic. The truth is that it would be very difficult for people to do much research at all on this topic if they were thinking in terms of libraries and research that's been done for years by experts, because this is a national security program. And in America, what that means is it's highly classified. So in order to put the pieces together, it's sort of like a puzzle that you find different pieces here and there, and you're not told that this piece actually belongs to the geoengineering puzzle, and you're not told that this other piece belongs to the synthetic biology puzzle. You have to go through and find these things yourself, spend a lot of time. I mean, I've spent thousands of hours just on this one book, and thousands of pages of notes, lots of patents, lots of papers, scientific papers I've read, lots of military papers. So, you basically are going out in an inductive reasoning way where you're looking at this, that, and the other, and then you kind of sit with it a while, and then gradually a picture starts forming of what's really going on. So I've, in a way, experienced that with every book, but each book throws open a whole new door or 10 doors. And then I, of course, want to get to the bottom of that. And by the time I now have reached this, this book with synthetic biology, it's actually the culmination of where I started when I used to study with Clifford Carnicom, the independent scientist, who discovered all these things in the chemical trails. There would be this wake after the jets. He knew it wasn't a contrail, a condensation trail, because water vapor does not leave a signature like he saw. He knew that it was chemicals. And so he began to collect whatever was falling from the sky in northern New Mexico back in the 90s. So he was on the trail for at least 10 years before I encountered him and began to learn along with him about the synthetic biology already in the trails, which we all know, or at least some of us know, by the name Morgellons. And Morgellons was an unfortunate name because it's from, I can't remember, the 13th century, the 17th century, as a skin ailment that was given to it. Because sometimes people who have the Morgellons inside them, which basically we all do because we're all breathing the same air. But some people have it coming out of their skin in lesions. And that's why it's called Morgellons, because it's similar to this condition many, many years ago. But it's not the same at all. This is synthetic biology. So in a way, I've come full circle from when Clifford and I were studying what he was seeing under his microscope from the condensation he was collecting outside his house and then putting under his microscope. And the blood that we were drawing from people's bodies to see if Morgellons was in the blood, the saliva, that we had a saliva test that people would first do, and we would look in there and see if these fibers, these filaments were in there. And these filaments are what most people think of as Morgellons. And now, bizarrely, but not really bizarrely, people are finding these very similar filaments. I don't know if they're Morgellons, so-called, but they certainly are of the same type of synthetic biology. They're finding them in the masks that people are wearing. They're finding them in the PCR swab tests that people are forced to take. And they're finding it now in the serums as well, it appears. I mean, I've been looking at a lot of the analysis coming out of mainly Spain, Argentina, France, places where they are finally beginning to look at the serum of the various corporations, big pharma corporations that we all know their names, and see what's in these serums. And they've been surprised, I haven't been surprised at all, that there are many foreign bodies in these serums, and that these foreign bodies they go all the way from very Morgellons looking fibers, filaments, to actual hardware for electronic devices. And that's where we're at now. I'm very interested in everything that comes out because I did very close work on all this stuff for 2.5 years to write the book that just came out in October. And I was spot on. I mean, I'm not tooting my horn. I'm saying that research and being able to think your way through good research, good data, that I can take from open source, nothing special, no CIA agent told me this, that, or the other. I simply looked and was willing to spend 15 hours a day for 2.5 years to be sure of what I was finding. And it's all matching up perfectly with what's in the book. And then I take it a little bit further because I'm talking about transhumanism. I'm not talking about simply Pfizer experiments on millions of people, which of course is a crime against humanity. But I'm talking also about the genetic shifting going on now due to what's being implanted through the so-called gene therapy of these inoculations. So that's kind of the path that I've cut all these years. At first, I start out in the very big, wow, what's the weather doing? What's going on in the sky? What's this stuff coming down that we're all breathing? Do they really know that we're breathing it? Well, of course they did. It's all been completely, the motivation has been to use humanity as a guinea pig for transhumanist experimentation. And it all, in my mind, came under what is called the secret space program. And how does that fit? It fits because they are very concerned about full spectrum dominance over planet Earth, and then full spectrum dominance over our star, the sun, and then full spectrum dominance over our galaxy. So it all, to have a human being who can actually make the journey from Earth through the Van Allen radiation belts all the way into space without spending years in space, which is how we have all been taught you would have to do. I'm sure there are now exotic propulsion devices which will curtail that story. But to have a human being who can make it through the radiation belts, that's what they need. They need a human being who's not really human, not organic in the sense we are. They need a brain in the human being to be hooked up to an AI system so that they can be run from the planet all the way up into space. And so they're changing our makeup with these synthetic devices and these self-replicating devices that we are now being, yes, inoculated with, but we've been breathing them for over 2 decades, for almost 3 decades, actually. So they're in us. And how are they going to be activated if they're not already activated? And how are they going to form a simulated system of a nervous system and a circulatory system so that we really are a cyborg for space travel? Well, they're going to do that by the electromagnetic coming from remote distances, from cell towers, satellites, iPhones are a hookup, Internet of Things, Internet of Nano Things. I mean, there are so many ways that now the nanotechnology has made the connection so they can do that. And of course, these latest serums are loaded with nanotechnology. So this is a big plan. It's beyond any normal citizen's purview to imagine that this could be actually what they're up to. But most people think this is simply a culling of the population, which it is also. It's also a culling of the population. But the primary pearl of their experimentation is to establish a transhuman race and to learn from their errors in this particular initiation rite that we're all undergoing, for future initiation rites that they will subject us to in other forms. That's my take on it.
Isn't it because there's non-human beings pulling the strings of the puppets that we see in politics and so forth?
Well, I mean, you probably, with your emphasis, are probably much more of an expert than I am on that. I stick with data, and I stick with how the closest I would come to seeing that is possible. And you know, I'm a student of Rudolf Steiner, right? I don't know if you know who Rudolf Steiner is.
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay. Well, so a lot of people don't, amazingly. I think that when you sacrifice your humanity, and I don't mean just your physical humanity, I don't mean just a genetic humanity. I mean what makes a person human, which is their some sort of spiritual makeup that we have, that we come to this planet, we live in these very physical, very animal bodies, and we, from that vantage point, begin to have sensory experiences. We then, from our perceptions, we then analyze that, we form concepts, we do things in the world, we create things, we destroy things, all sorts of things happen from that. But if you abandon the very core of your humanity, which would be your spiritual nature, and that could be a negative spiritual nature as well as a positive spiritual nature. But once you enter the negative realm of the human spiritual nature, you are now prone to being overtaken by entities that are anti-human and really view the human being as a blight on the universe, as a free will creature that has no right to its free will, that really those entities can take over in such a person. Say you sacrificed the very best of your humanity, your compassion, your pathos, your forgiveness of others, your high thinking, whatever it is. You have given that up. You are now bait for all kinds of entities that long to take over your body, because they have no body here and they need a body in order to function. That is very possible. And I would not be the person that I would want to make those discernments. I'm still learning about that. I mean, I'm learning now a few things. You might find this interesting, because the nanotechnology itself, you might think it's simply matter, but because it's on the atomic level, a nanoparticle, there are the natural nanoparticles that are throughout space and throughout the world. I'm not talking about that, but you take a nanoparticle and you create your own style of nanoparticles. Say you want to build a truck, and you want to build it with nanotechnology. So you lay one atom next to another atom next to another atom, and you make all these nanometer things, very, very tiny. You can't see them without special microscopes, or sometimes you can see them moving in infrared. And then you have the nanos that are the builders, the engineers, the ones who can build. And then you have the nanos that they're using as building blocks, and you build the truck. That's kind of what's going on now, is manufacturing is really being overtaken by a nanotechnology. But at the same time, so is medicine. And this is where it gets kind of tricky, because we're on the atomic level. And the atomic level, as we know from the Manhattan Project long ago in 1945, we know that is right next to quantum dimensions. That is, yes, it's a material, but there's a transformation that happens the closer you get to that threshold with the quantum realms. And of course, the quantum realms is where many of these entities come from, that people talk about as extraterrestrials, talk about as reptilians, greys, all of the above. And so I talk in the last book I wrote, Under an Ionized Sky, in one chapter 9, I think, or 10. It's called the Temple of CERN. I talk about how CERN opened portals for these entities and how they're now just pouring in. So we do have a lot of entities. What I'm not willing to say is that they're from necessarily off planet, like a physical being from Alpha Centauri. I'm not willing to go there, because I have zero proof other than hearsay and people's MyLab military abduction experiences. And but I can say that the more you sacrifice your humanity, the more room there is, because nature abhors a vacuum. So then that vacuum will provide the invitation to entities to actually take over your human life. And I think it's happening more and more. And now that what is human in people is under assault through these inoculations, we are going to have a whole hybrid race of humans who are transhumans. And I don't know if you've looked at the patents, but there is no human rights protection for transhumans. So now we are going to have a hybrid human race, for sure. And at the same time, they too will not be entirely human, and they too will therefore be inviting the entities. So it's a brave new world, and we get to be here to witness this amazing crossover, you might say, and challenge to the human race being what it is divinely ordained to be. Whether we will make it or not, truthfully, I'm in doubt, and that's why I work so hard. I'm not taking it for granted. I know that being human, as Rudolf Steiner says, the humanity is the religion of the gods. And when he says that, he's not a man to speak lightly or entirely metaphorically. And so if we are the religion of the gods, what does that say about our free will? Obviously, we have a few human beings we remember in history who have been very great and beneficent, amazing human beings. And then we have very dire, diabolical human beings in history as well. So we're all sort of between these antipodes of what humanity can be. And this is the range of our development of free will. So what I don't want now is I don't want the nanotech working with electromagnetic remote control, mind control devices from satellite or towers or cell phones or wherever. I do not want them usurping our right to develop free will, because we don't necessarily have free will when we get here. We develop it while we're here. That's why life has its agonies and its pains and its moments of uncertainty and all the things that we go through. So that's kind of how I see my answer to your question. Very long way. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. What do you think of the Hydra? The Hydra creature that has that Carrie Medich has discovered in the serum.
Yeah, the hybrid is the Hydra. The Hydra, what's the name of it? Hydra
vulgaris or something? No, Hydra vulgaris.
Yes, vulgaris. When I saw that, I was writing at that time, and I don't know if you know this, but to make my living, I edit and I ghostwrite people's books for them. So I was writing a book for an MK Ultra survivor. I have now finished that. And he has living within him a synthetic parasite. I think of it as synthetic. I'm not sure it's entirely synthetic. It could be a hybrid as well. But at the same time I was doing that, all of this came out through Carrie Madej and others that about this Hydra vulgaris and the three-pronged, weird-looking little alien-looking thing that was also in the serum. I could not help but feel that, as I do regarding this person's parasite living in him, and it's 3 feet long. So we're not talking small here. We're talking a lengthy reptile. And my thinking is that somehow these inferior creatures in the evolutionary scale have something to do with the reptilian brain. Now, the reptilian brain is the oldest part of our brainstem back here. It goes far, far, far back. And it is mostly has to do with survival and aggression, having to do with survival, sexuality, which can be aggressive, and certainly has a tremendous amount of energy in it. And so what I'm wondering is the Hydra vulgaris the same, similar to what's in this person, which has been implanted in him, perhaps as a very tiny bit that then grows, as part of an experimentation to affect his reptilian brain. That's about as far as I've gotten in it. But when I saw that Hydra vulgaris, I really could not but see it as very similar to what he himself is dealing with and has dealt with, by the way, since he was an infant. So that's my thought on it. What do you think?
I think you may be right. It's a takeover of human spirit and human nature. I mean, I've never realized, acknowledged my whole life that there were so many weak humans. I call them NPCs for the past 2 years.
What's that?
NPCs are non-player characters. It's just like in a video game. You have the influencers. They don't really take part, in the game. They're just here to direct you, to make you go into a certain direction. They provide the egregores that the establishment needs to accomplish their goals. So
I'm very familiar with the term egregore, and I really appreciate you using it. Maybe we should define it for your listeners, because I think it's a hugely important concept.
Yes, please go ahead.
So for me, and then please add, for me, the egregore, which is a term that I was given by an Italian anthroposophist, a Rudolf Steiner person, who worked for years in the Vatican with the Pope, Pope John Paul II, in fact. And he is the one who told me about the term egregore. And of course, he, working in the Vatican, certainly knows the nature of an egregore. Because what an egregore is it's the summation of the wills of all the humans working in an organization that are all sort of have come together, whether it's through signing non-disclosure agreements, or it's simply that this is where you pick up your paycheck and you really don't know all the things that go on there. You just know your little tiny job that you have, like if you worked for Lockheed Martin or General Dynamics, and you would be part of this egregore. But the egregore itself takes on a life of its own through dominating the wills of all the people involved in it. And this is a big reason that I always say to people, if you're going to work for Lockheed Martin or Boeing or a government agency, realize what you're giving your energy to. Because if you may say, oh, it's just a job, doesn't really matter. Oh, it matters. It matters a great deal for human karma, in my opinion. What do you think? That's my beginning of the egregore.
Yeah, it's totally that's totally what it is. It's basically a collective energy that's being manufactured, engineered to push a bunch of people or an event or a movement to go one way. It's sort of like you'll see a lot of fish follow each other, under the water, and birds in the sky. There's always one direction with a masses. It's like a squad, right? A squad. It's the energy of a squad, of a movement, a collective energy, which is what they trigger all the time.
Right, and it. Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And it has this. It's hard for people to believe, because they think, okay, well, spiritual is over here, and then this is material. That's different, but it isn't different. There's a crossover, and in the materiality of an egregore's life, where it's like a big company or a big World Bank, and you can have small egregores too that actually pretty much behave themselves until, at least this is my idea, until you see them get more and more numbers attached. And then it starts getting dicey as to them behaving themselves. And I think of them as sort of a group soul. That would be a Steiner term. There's the group soul, there's the individual soul. So like tribalism, or the fish swimming all together in a certain pattern and the birds flying in a certain pattern. This collectivism of the group soul has been a natural progression to where, for the human being anyway, where we now are experiencing individual souls, some of us better than others. Some of us still want to be collective and don't want the obligation and responsibility of being an individual. And so we join all this and that, and we follow the tail in front of us and do what we're told. And that's where I see the whole inoculation jab thing having taken over through the programming people are undergoing through their television sets and their iPhones. These two items are weapon systems. I want to be very clear about this. I am not being metaphorical. These are weapon systems. They started in the military. The television started in the military. So did the computer. But I have to have a computer. But do I have a TV? No way. Do I have an iPhone? No way. Because those technologies are beyond my ability to outsmart. I studied them. I write about them in this book. You can read. I tried to give everybody a handbook about all the technologies that they're so enamored of for their conveniences and their entertainment, so that you can see how they operate and then how they're being used as a weapon system by remote AI systems. So the idea that the egregore is collective, you can see the problem here. We're on a trail now in humanity for an individual soul. And yeah, we're at all different phases. Some of us are good at it, some of us are not so good at it, etc. But if you fall prey to egregores, enough egregores, you're a member of this, you work for this, you follow this church or this temple or this whatever. Now there's a problem, because your individual soul development may be in conflict with this pull, this draw of the past to pull you into being like the people next door, or the people in your church, or the people in your organization, or whatever it is. And of course, you will immediately think you're being practical by going along with it, because you have to make a living and you have to this and you have to that. But all that is the price of the soul, right? The price of the individual soul. And you have to start really bringing that language, that old religious language that many people think they're superior to and was so primitive and all of that. It's unfortunate that language is what we need in order to really grasp concepts. And some of these concepts may sound like a very intellectual word to you, but some of these concepts, as some of the great scientists have said, they're alive. They're alive because they're ideas, and they're alive. And they have their own quality that you imbibe or don't imbibe by having something to do with them or not having something to do with them. So that's a very big topic, I realize, but this is how I think. And in order to stay on track to being human now, we're going to have to get a little more savvy with where the assaults are coming from. And or maybe the first step is, do you even want to be human? It seems like a lot of people don't even want to be human. They're looking for putting devices under their skin whereby the doors will open for them and they can turn on their car easily. They don't seem to realize that some AI system is running the whole thing. And what's to prevent that AI system from running all of you? It isn't simply a matter of a small thing. That's how they get you in the door. And then it's you. And pretty soon you're thinking thoughts that aren't even yours anymore. And you don't even know it. You think they're yours. And you're having desires and you're having behaviors that are strange. And your family and your friends are probably the first ones to notice it. But you don't, because you have made some not very deep choices and assumptions that really, I think now that's the one good thing that's going to come out of this, is we're going to have to really think thoroughly about what our definition of human is. Because if you think it's just a head and a torso and arms and legs, you're way off. You're way off. That is not the entity, the human being, which is you, who lives in this body. Now, I take very good care of this body because I noticed years ago, maybe 3 decades ago during research, I've always been a researcher, how back in the 60s, I realized we all saw that people were eating a lot of junk food, and not nearly as much as they're eating now. But we knew about McDonald's and all the potato chips and all that stuff. And we began to realize as a generation, in a way, at least the phalanx, the ones of us that were most awake out front, we realized that, wow, this is going to kill our immune system. So we're going to eat healthy. We're going to eat organic, and we're going to learn how to farm and garden, and we're going to open health. We're going to open natural food stores, not just pop a bunch of pills, and we're going to remain human. That was really what we were up to, and I have never departed from that. So I have kept my immune system strong, so that I can face things like we're having today, and this idea of living in this body. I love this body. But this body is mine. And we even have it in the language. When you say my body, well, what are you saying? You're not saying I. You're saying this body belongs to me. Okay, so where's me? Where's I? That's the human being who is a spiritual species living inside a human body. So to me, this could be pretty exciting now that people awakening to the fact that a small group of people want to take over the entire planet. Yes, that's important, but also important is, what will you fight for? What is the humanity that you will fight for the future generations, for our own generation? And that's very exciting, I think.
Yeah, and we can see the difference between several types of humans, or spiritless humans, or beings around us who are hive-minded at all costs and follow the stupid narrative for the past 2 years, and still haven't got a clue of what's going on, and are ready for 4, 5, 6 boosters, and to inject themselves with anything to be able to go to the movies, travel, go on vacation, and even work and pay their bills. So they're ready to inject their children. They've been doing it already. So, we are dealing with what I call NPCs, but, non-player characters, but they're also spiritless. I call them spiritless humans, because they have no clues on purpose. It's not only a state of hypnosis, because hypnosis, okay, there's technologies to subdue them to the screens, the phones, the TVs, the movies, the propaganda, the towers and psychotronics and so forth. But there's more to it than that. I think it's something that has to do with their biology, and also the spark that they don't have inside themselves, that has invested their bodies. They're just spiritless robots. To me, they're just organic robots or portals.
Yeah, I agree. And there are another good thing about the present time is that if you're willing to look, you can see them. They're completely visible now. And I mean, it's not a matter of being judgmental. It's not a matter of damning them to hell or anything like that. It's a matter of realizing that what you see is not always straightforward, and that you have to have something a little deeper going on to realize what you're looking at. And that's what's lacking. And we can blame, yes, the powers that be that have given us a terrible educational system. We can blame the takeover of churches and temples, etc., for purposes that are anything but spiritual. But when it comes down to is, yeah, okay, you can blame those, but it's still you who are making these choices, and that's the key. Which way are you going to go? It reminds me again of that great song by Bob Dylan during his Christian phase. I think it was when he sang that song, "Everybody got to serve somebody." And it's kind of like that, you may think of yourself as being agnostic or atheist, or you don't have time for silly religious spiritual nonsense. You're a scientist, you're a PhD, you're a whatever. And yet there's a whole side of life there that has been blocked out, which has some very deep concepts buried in it. It's not all just what you see of this churchianity, I call it. It isn't just that sort of green screen that's thrown up in reality. No, there's real things hidden in there. But if you don't take the time or the effort to go and sort of dig around, there's going to be nobody who leads you into that. I think that's the key to Earth incarnation. When you come here for whatever lifetime you're coming for, it really is up to you. And you can, up till now, we have had intact cultures that have perhaps helped us. And things like churches, like religions, like philosophies, schools, all of this infrastructure we could depend on to sort of hold us steady while we figured out what we were doing here and then started making our own choices. That's my idea of it. But we are now engaged in the downfall of an entire civilization. And so there's nothing really holding us very much, other than AI systems that keep the traffic lights going, and at the grocery store keep all the registers going and the money flowing, and but otherwise there's really not much holding us now. So now we need to really look inside also to see how we're going to navigate a very difficult time that many human beings have never even had to navigate. They don't even know the first thing about navigating it. So what do? They follow the tail in front of them and line up for the inoculation. So that too is going on, and I think that's a good thing, because just being carried along by your culture and carried along, particularly by the American culture, which I can, because I'm Romanian. I was born in America, but I was raised as a Romanian child until I was about 9. And I know America is sort of like Satan's helper. Right. Because this is where the technology is made, and this is where we have a north-south mountain chain all the way up to the very top of the earth to the very bottom of the earth, and this is all minerals. It's like a huge mineral spine, and Rudolf Steiner talks quite a bit about this as to what this does to the spirituality of the American. It makes the doppelganger, very strong in America. So in a way, and I feel I'm one of these people, only the strong need apply to fight here for the good, the true, and the beautiful, because we are just inundated by this doppelganger presence in America, and you can see it everywhere. And then the unfortunate thing is that America has spread all over the world. That's the really unfortunate thing. Should have just stayed here, and as we all fought it out here. But all the movies and the whole entertainment business and the newscasts and the technology and all of that is from America. So that's to awaken here in America is, of course, that's where I work the hardest, because this is my country, is really important, because if we awaken here, and I think the whole world, maybe not France, but the whole world seems to know this, that if the Americans can just stand, that old Bill of Rights that's so rare, the Constitution, all these things we're known for, all the good things we're known for, the idea that we could make a stand here and not go the way of Australia and Canada, et cetera, is very, very important for many reasons. And one of those is, I maintain, that the doppelganger presence here, the demonic presence here, whatever you want to call it, is so powerful that it requires a tremendous ability to stand. And that's my hope in continuing to talk and write and do all the things I do, is that people hear my clarion call, that this is our era, this is our watch, this is our time to really face off some of the darkest parts of what has plagued the human race for thousands of years. Not just the global elite. Yes, we've been burdened with them for thousands of years, most of them from Europe, I might add. But we still have this other part, the technological entities that have been released. Do you think that this electromagnetism is just something physical? No one even knows what electricity is yet. And yet we flip a switch, it goes on, we flip a switch, it goes off. We love our electricity, but do we know what it is? Do we know if it's connected to entities, to quantum dimensions? We know so little about the technology that we have loosed now on the entire world, and have, what was the last number? I think Arthur Furstenberg mentioned recently was 425,000 satellites are up. So, and they're all beaming radiation at the Earth for various purposes. So now we are faced with, to me, it's the war of wars. It's the war of the all against all, Rudolf Steiner once called it. But it's come much sooner than he thought. Or maybe I'm deceiving myself. Maybe this is just the forecast of what we're going into. But whatever it is, I'm giving it my all, because I know that I have to give it my all before I die and pass into the next room of existence. What do you think of what I just said?
No, so am I. I think France is pretty much the core of all satanic forces in Europe. Of course, there's England, and there's the Vatican in Italy, there's the CERN, and so forth. Yeah. But France is the, with Germany as well. But I mean, France is the core headquarters of the. Macron was a French young leader, so he's coming from an American think tank. So is Valérie Pécresse, who's a candidate for the presidency. So he's also a Bilderbergers, and so are many politicians in France. So and they're all, they all made the what would I call it, the pact with basically the evil forces, and they're showing it. There's always there's a 666 in everything they do. The 6 feet distance between two people not to get contaminated. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can't, you can only go out and you have a curfew and so forth. And everything is about sixes everywhere. And there's so many signs and symbols derived from Satanism in France. It's just amazing. And I see all those people. But
you have the Grand Orient Lodge there. The Grand Orient has been huge for centuries. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And the Merovingians came through France as well.
Right.
And of course, the Vatican next door. I mean, Italy is one of the worst. With Austria is also a Nazi-infested country, just like Germany was.
Very much so. Yeah.
So they're going to find people who don't want to get jabbed in February in Austria. So I don't know how much, but it's quite a lot of money, coming out of their bank account each month. The same thing went for Greece. Greece is finding people who are unvaccinated like 100 euros a month or something. You know, when you have like really low wages, I mean, it's something.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So it's just going crazy everywhere, and I see all those people lined up for testing and putting in graphene and fibers and Morgellons in their nose and sinuses in their brains to implant them,
Right.
and lined up for boosters and showing their health pass. This is AI. It's not a health pass; it's a vaccine pass now for the last few days. So and they all agree to it. You would think they're going to fight for their children. No, they don't. They're not. Their children have been masked in school and tortured psychologically all day for the past 2 years, and they're not rioting.
Right.
Although there are people demonstrating. I mean, I've taken part in demonstrations in Rouen, Normandy, and so forth. But I mean, the number of people just seems to have been lowered because a lot of them give up their sovereignty by accepting the deal with the devil. Basically.
And a lot are dead. A lot have died too, right? Which in a way to me is also giving up and like, I've had it here. It's time to go home. I'm out of here. And that too is going on. But I just to put a word of hope in, not hope, it's knowledge really. I'm a big, deep student of history, and it's always been a sort of vanguard that is out front of every time. Now, there's always, yes, the global elites who have great resources and pay, the devil his due with the blood of children and all of the disgusting things they do. We've had those for thousands of years. Go ahead.
The largest group that has stakes into all those big totalitarian companies who are implementing this policy is called Vanguard Group. You know about that, right?
Yeah. Vanguard. Yeah, along with BlackRock, I think.
Right.
But anyway, what I mean is that I have confidence that I'm in the phalanx of those who are pretty awake this time around. And we are moving in opposition to these powers that be, because we know their nature. We know their nature. Now, I'm surrounded here where I live. Certainly, there's not a person I could pick up the phone and call here who knows the least of what I'm saying here. So I don't want you to think I've got some great geographic group here that is really on it. I'm not. But I'll bet you there are tens of thousands like me who are completely aware. And to me, it's similar to some other things. Geography doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. We never have to meet, but we have the same intention. And the intention is everything. And I have great confidence in that is too weak a word. I know that works. It works very much like a spear, like a sword of Damocles, like not Damocles, like Excalibur in the King Arthur legends. It is the sword of discernment. It is the sword of truth, and that is really what I live for. So I'm pretty confident in that if enough of us give it everything we've got until the day we die, this will not fly. This will not fly. And then another type of generation, one would hope, who hasn't been completely zombified by endless TV and endless daycares and endless video games and endless electronics, that there would come a generation which really understood that to feed yourself that is probably not a good idea. You certainly need to know about it, but not to feed yourself about it. In fact, just yesterday, a friend said that she had tried on a goggles thing,
Oh, yeah.
and that when she came out of it, she felt that she had been changed in some way and that it was not so good. And she really wanted me to try it. Well, why would I try it? It's like, I'm not going to do that because I don't know that technology, to be like children and just, yeah, let me try that and see what that's like. That's not the business of an adult who's in a war now for the war of the machines, like in the Matrix trilogy. We're in the war with the machines. Why am I going to try some cool device to see how my perception changes when I don't know what's in that technology? You see, doesn't that make sense? I mean,
Yeah.
If you really know what the stakes are here, and that's what I think most people don't realize. They don't know that this is not a movie. This is real stakes are at risk here. And we need to conduct ourselves much more cogently, much more somberly as adults, not children. Like, oh, good. No, it's not that time. So that's my appeal to people.
Well, the metaverse, that brings us to the metaverse. A program which what Facebook has turned itself into. I mean, Facebook is not Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg is just a robot, an organic robot.
He really is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all Intel behind it, right? It's CIA and so forth behind Facebook. Absolutely. So now they want people to go into the matrix through the metaverse and live their virtual reality lives, which is already a little bit virtual since the inoculation. Well, my question was, actually, it was Sherry Sweeney, whom you may know, I think. Sherry Sweeney. She has a question for you. Elana would talk about what the average person can do to, one, stop this from going further. Is it even possible? You almost answered it. Two, protect ourselves. Is that even possible? And three, get the word out even more than we already are. For example, do you have a movie in the works based on your new book? I'm sure that you know that Rosa Quire, Behind the Green Mask, passed on May 30th last year. And they say she died of lung cancer, but not enough people talk about the Agenda 21 since then. You think the Agenda 21 has been buried in order to only talk about Agenda 2030, for example?
I don't know how it is in Europe, but here, at least the people that write me, we all know we're already in Agenda 21. That's doesn't even need discussion because, they're moving us now toward 2030. But it's a name. It's a concept they created. It doesn't really exist. But if you're asking, are we already in the matrix? Oh, yes. We're all plugged in, whether we're vaxxed or not. We're plugged in, because we have the nanotechnology in us. And the nanotechnology, the first thing a nano is good at is just slipping past the blood-brain barrier, absolutely with ease, no question. And once it's in our brain, then now we are able to be influenced by electromagnetics from a distance. They can use for targeting. I mean, I know a lot of targeted individuals. Pretty soon, everybody's going to be a targeted individual, by the way, for masses of experimentation and gathering of big data to teach these quantum computers. That's going to be the big thing, is more and more and more data from people who are plugged in and have no idea that they're plugged in. As far as protecting people, I often say just a few, they're very simple things, and people probably think I'm simple-minded, that I would think that, you know, this will do a lot, but it will. Things like this. Say you really want to protect yourself. Well, first of all, you're going to need to look at your lifestyle and see what you're living with. Okay, so do you have a TV? Get rid of it. Get rid of it immediately. Don't even give it away. Just get rid of it, because you wouldn't be doing anyone a favor by giving it to someone. The iPhone, well, you know, I know how addicted people are to their iPhones. It's a very clever technology. I totally admit that. I have no idea how to operate them, nor do I want an idea of how to operate them. You know, the best thing you could do is get rid of it. If you're not willing to get rid of it for whatever reasons, just understand that I have given you the key to the kingdom for self-protection, and telling you to get rid of two very big weapon systems being used to program every single human being on the earth, and that you said no. All right, that's your choice. I totally leave you free. Then the next thing is look around at your technology in your home. You have, in Europe, I think you have 50 hertz in the walls. We have 60 here. Everything is too much. So at night, unplug your router. If you have a router for your internet, unplug it. And then you can plug it back in the next day. Protect your bedroom where you sleep. No TV in the bedroom, no computers, no iPhones. Sleep on a mattress that has no metal in it, because metal means antenna. So you look around and you see, do you have like toys that you think are so cool that, you know, that are electromagnetic? Well, think about getting rid of them. And then your car. You think you want a new car, which has, I don't know, a couple hundred computers on it, and you want to get in that metal box and think that you're going to be fine with all those computers going all the time. You go outside and just remember that you've got all these satellites above are radiating the earth. So what are you going to do about that? Okay, now we get down to where you're going to have to put in some maintenance ideas of, I do Tony Pantalaresco's baths, for example. Tony Pantalaresco, wonderful Italian name, is a Canadian herbalist. And he had Morgellons and so-called Morgellons, and he worked hard on himself, and in the process discovered some very powerful ways of making people better. So I'm sure he's helped thousands of people by now who write him. And you can take the baths, which is 1 cup of baking soda, 1 cup of Epsom salts, 1 cup of sea salt, 1 cup of borax or boron, in order to create a mildly electrolytic bath that will force the nanotech out of your pores. You won't be able to see them, but if you want to, after 4 or 5 baths, say you take them all in a row, on the 4th or 5th night, you might want to turn the lights out in the bathroom and use an LED flashlight and look at the surface of the water, and you will see swarms moving of nanotechnology, because as I told you, they are on the atomic level. They are right up by the quantum dimensions, and they are conscious. They are conscious. But they're a group consciousness, they're an egregore consciousness, they're a collective, and they move as a collective. So you can see them there. All right, so that's lifestyle, that part. Next part is food, the food that you eat. Yeah.
You mentioned the those parasites. Well, you know, as a collective group, hive mind technologies. There's nano routers in the vaccines.
Yes.
I forgot the question I was going to ask you about that. That's
Well,
weird.
and there's hardware and software in the vaccines. Hardware and software,
Right.
and that's important because there's two major reasons for the vax. Neither has to do with disease and virus or anything. One is they are implanting various gain of function diseases, pieces of virus that they've manipulated in some way, bacteria that they've changed, like the Morgellons, that's how they make that. And it goes into stasis once it's in the body. But then if they want to activate it, they use the 5G, 6G system with the frequency of that particular disease. And they resurrect it, just like Lazarus. They resurrect it and it starts to produce symptoms. So that's one thing that's going on. How many diseases have they implanted? I have no idea. I assume every booster has a whole new batch. So the second reason is that they're implanting hardware and software along with the genetic modification of the human DNA. So this is key to have the hardware in there, like the one you mentioned. I mean, that's been what's great is what in the last 2 weeks we've seen I've seen 5 or 6 films coming out of Spain and Argentina. I was looking at one yesterday from Argentina. So now we've got very good people looking through the right kind of microscope at what is going into the body and what is in the blood of the vaccinated. So, yeah. And can I go on to the food yet? Go ahead.
Yeah, the smart dust. Yeah, I remember now. I wanted to ask you what the role of the smart dust is in this whole scheme of things.
The smart dust is simply the nano bots. The smart, everything, every time something says smart, you know it's plugged in. And you know, therefore, that it is probably nanobot, nanotechnology, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's everything. It's everywhere. It's everything. This is the huge revolution that is really going to change us and everything about us is nanotechnology. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
And the graphene and connection with black goo. What can you tell us about that?
You want that instead of the food thing? Because the food thing's super important.
Oh, no, I'll just, okay, we can talk about the graphene later on. Go ahead with the food. Yeah.
All right, so the food thing, just very, very simply, I'll tell you that the nanotechnology, the collective swarms in your body that are producing lattice work, that are producing nano neural networks in your body as I speak. There is no one who doesn't have this happening, but unfortunately the inoculated have it happening on another scale. We all have it. These nano workers in us, they love acidity, love it. So you've got to have a Coca-Cola. They're going to love that. You've got to have sugar desserts every day. They're going to love that. You know, do you understand what I'm saying? Acidity is your enemy. You have to have an alkaline diet. If you want to make it for your immune system, if you want your immune system to rally, as you know, the people who are being inoculated, their immune systems are being absolutely destroyed. I know that in America, at least, the immune systems of most people here is in very poor shape, very poor shape. So if you want a strong immune system, look to your diet and start figuring out what produces acidity and what produces alkalinity, because it's not straightforward all the time. So, for example, coffee, which I have 1 cup every morning, by the way. Coffee is seemingly acidic, but in the body it becomes alkaline. You see what I mean? Meat produces acidity. I eat very little meat. I eat very few eggs. I primarily eat vegetables and grains, but whole grains. Tony Pantalaresco does not agree with me. He thinks grains are right next to evil. But I eat organic grains and vegetables. So you're going to have to become your own doctor and your own lab technician. It's as if your body now is a test tube. And you are not going to be able to go to hospitals and doctors if you want to stay well. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? It's all inverted from what we were taught. But I know that's true. I'm sure there are some good doctors. I'm not saying everybody is bad, but I think it is time for us to take responsibility for our own health. So that's the other thing I'd say for just two simple things: looking around at your electronics and your diet. And then, you start experimenting and see how things go in order to survive this era. Okay, then your thing about the black goo. I am friends with Harold Kautzvella. He doesn't talk to me very often. He's taken up a very a life of not talking much with people.
I interviewed him a few years ago.
Yeah. And his idea of the black goo, are you asking because some people are saying that it looks like the graphene oxide is black goo?
Right.
Yeah, well, it may be. I sent that off to Harold to see what he thought, and I have not heard back from him. So I've drawn no conclusion. It's certainly in the small videos where you can see it doing its magnetic clustering and almost seeming to have a life of its own. It certainly appears to be very much like black goo. But black goo in general is in a more liquid state, so it's hard for me to say.
Right. Well, thanks for your answer on that. Melanie, who lives in the Reunion Island, who is undergoing a hurricane right now, or a big tropical storm coming from the Mauritius Island, was asking over a week ago when we tried to connect. For the past few days, there's been a big cloud of sulfur dioxide coming from the Tonga Islands above their heads. Sunsets are showing a bloodshot red color clouds, and they're like they're weird looking, like there's strains and so forth. I think I sent you a few pictures from there. The big Tonga Island volcano erupted, and I think I sent you a video where you can. Well, I know it's low res.
You mean the plasma going into the crater?
Right.
Yeah, that was a plasma. That was definitely plasma. Yeah. So what does that mean? That alone means to me geoengineered.
Right. Exactly. Right. So that was our question about the bloodshot red color clouds, and the local authorities, of course, they're says there's zero impact on their health as far as acid rains are concerned, and the people are ecstatic, admiring the skies. She's wondering about the weather warfare and volcanoes we just answered. In regards to the mass MK Ultra program going on right now, is there a chance that it may fail in case of a brutal awakening? That's her question. Or are we sentenced to keep on living in this zombie program? And can we hack into their program and disable it or not?
Well, I mean, if you look around at the technology and and how enamored the common people are of the technology, you see the problem we have. The technology is, MK Ultra is now what I call EMK Ultra, electromagnetic MK Ultra, and it's all done remotely now, or at least most of it is. And example being, to give you an idea of how extensive it is, in this MK Ultra survivors book that I have just written with him, his astral body is being taken out by the technology and moved thousands of miles away and utilized in clones for elite fun and games, I suppose you would say. So the idea that this technology can actually remove the very part of the human body which gives us our individuality, that would be the astral body, is pretty concerning, to say the least. So is there, basically you're asking me, is there any way back? No, there's no way back. There is no way back. Now, that will certainly, if we deal with this present situation of these inoculations and boosters, then our next challenge would be the technology. And so that would entail the metaverse, Facebook, etc., all the virtual reality religion that people are dedicated to, and a lot of I mean, if you think of breaking the system up, that's an interesting idea, but it's hard for me to imagine how you would do that. I mean, if you took out a bunch of satellites, for example, how many would you have to take out in order to break it down? If you bulldozed a bunch of cell towers, how many would you have to bulldoze? And you see, it's everywhere now, and it's inside our bodies. It's inside our bodies. It's inside our brain. So it seems to me that the only way forward at this point in my own evolution, as I'm dealing with all these ideas, is the idea of consciousness, that I must become responsible for my consciousness, and I must strengthen my consciousness. Now, you might think that means by meditating or maybe prayer or something. Yeah, those things can fit in, but it's not, my idea is not based on those. My idea of consciousness is where you are 24/7 awake and aware. And if you're not, which, you know, we're just human, I understand that, and we fall off the track, how fast do we get back on? And how's our strength for keeping going? That's the key. Is I really believe that for like the nanotechnology in me, and they are in me, I can feel them now and then moving, particularly down by my legs and my feet. If they are conscious, which they are, they have a swarm consciousness. That's what the nanomaterials scientists say. They have a swarm consciousness. So if they're conscious and I'm conscious, but my consciousness is much more developed than theirs, then why can't I have influence over them? Why can't I have more influence over them than their masters coming in remotely on 5G and 6G waves? Why not? Well, I can, because I am a superior being. Not because I'm Elana, but because I'm human. And I'm conscious. So that's the direction I'm going in, and I'm committed to that. And I have real exercises, and I watch myself all day long. I know this will work, but I think with every individual, yes, there are a lot of people who will never do what I do. I understand that, but I cannot save anyone out there anyway. I can't save anyone. I can barely save myself. And each of us must look at it that way and then share ideas with each other of how we're maintaining ourselves to remain conscious and healthy so that we are not dragged off to the death chamber known as the hospital now.
Right. Yeah, so that was the next question by Catherine. She's a French nurse in my Telegram group, and she just resigned from her job a couple of months ago. She was asking, she's wondering if it's not the same case scenario during each end cycle. There's always an access? Is there always an access to the digital world and microchipping people in order to harvest as many souls as possible? And each time, intensive population genocide and mutation and so forth in order to get them to recycle in the next cycle, to be part of the next herd, the next hive, I guess, the next cattle, which is not totally human, because if the people consent to inoculate themselves with this type of product, which will take their soul away if they have one, wouldn't they be automatically reinserted in the next cycle? Like recycled, and they cannot come out of the game. This Truman Show.
Recycled in what way? Are you saying genetically recycled?
No, their
conscious,
their consciousness, or their souls, or their sparks.
Okay. So their consciousness, such as it is now that their soul has been extracted, and what happens to that soul? It's a very good question. I really don't know. Does it then? It can't return to the spiritual world if the body is still alive. And I know that our enemies among the elite know that. See, I don't think they want to kill everybody so much as, because then these people may just turn around and come back. They don't want them to come back at all, in reincarnation sense. They do not want the human being to be the way the human being has been now for several thousand years. And so they're attempting to cut that exit strategy and re-entry strategy off. So if the soul goes out of the body, and now you have a zombie, basically, right? You have a sort of transhuman hybrid zombie.
Right.
Now that will be run by the 5G, 6G AI system. And that system will put the personality and everything else in there. That's how I see that. As to where that soul goes, I think there is a possibility that is being extracted in a metaverse way, just like I said, with the astral body being taken out by technology, by microwave technology, by the way, that's what's taking it out. Then my picture is Rudolf Steiner's picture. Now, for the metaverse, he 100 years ago already foresaw it, and he called it the eighth sphere. And the eighth sphere simply is a reference to a whole other planet. At that time, 7 planets, all the way to Jupiter, didn't count Pluto and Saturn. At 7 planets. So the eighth sphere is a virtual planet that where souls are put that are then just husks in a way, husks that are then used for those they want to bring back, like maybe a Stalin or a Hitler or a somebody like that. You can bring them back. You've got a soul for them. And you can now, of course, make a body for them, because even if you clone a body,
it's like a soul storage area, basically.
Yeah, the eighth sphere is a soul storage area, and unfortunately, it also includes people who are still alive, those who have given up their humanity and now serve the dark side, you might say. They too will take up more and more of a life there, and in fact, I think that's what the whole metaverse means, is the eighth sphere. And it's not a place in the sense of a real planet that you could see. But on the other hand, Steiner also leaves a few very mysterious clues that with the right vision, you can see it. Now, I don't know what that means. But to me, the metaverse and the eighth sphere are the same. And he already foresaw that, along with other occultists. I'm not saying Steiner is the one who thought that up. There were other occultists. I think C.G. Harrison was one he wrote a book called The Transverse Universe, or The Transcendental Universe, something like that. And he too saw the eighth sphere being formed already in the 19th century. It was already being formed.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it connected to the Russian entrepreneur Itzkov's Avatar project, which is, extracting the soul and put it into some type of hologram or hologram body, and that's sort of what Elon Musk wants to do.
Yeah, no, I think all of these, I don't know about the Russian, I'm not familiar with his work, but I think all of these people, including Mr. Singularity, are very much eighth sphere people. Maybe they're even eighth sphere scouts sent out ahead of time to prepare the way. I have no problem with that. My biggest, if you want to call it a fear, my biggest concern is that they have something up their sleeve to actually remove the ability to reincarnate. And the ability to reincarnate, I had my first experience of having lived before when I was 8 years old. I didn't know it was so unique and rare at that point. I didn't talk about it to anyone. It seemed, I just simply knew that I knew the man who had written this part of a book that I was reading. And it turns out that man, if I had known that man, that meant 2,500 years ago. Later, I began to look and say, oh yeah, that's reincarnation, yeah. Reincarnation is how we develop here. I mean, if you think about it, why would a benign universe or God, or both, give you only 70 or 80 years to develop fantastic human consciousness? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but
it does not make any sense.
Isn't reincarnation a trap, a karma trap? Isn't the karma already tricking us into staying here, remaining in this jail, basically prison planet, and over time, what kind of development do you see? None. I mean, look what we've come.
Well, I don't know that you see none. I mean, do you remember your previous lives to be able to gauge how far you've come? My guess is you don't. You have to have something by which to gauge it. And my big question would be not that, but would be, gosh, how come we all aren't born with memories? So we at least know where we've been. And we can draw from those. And I think the only reason I remembered that one lifetime that I remembered, because I've only remembered 2 lifetimes, is that I needed it to understand what I was doing now, to understand why I'm on this trail I'm on. And it definitely points back to that life 2,500 years ago. This idea that karma is nothing but a trap. Yes, if you don't think a human being is a morally developed entity, then you probably think karma is a big waste of time. But if you have done things in the past, to me, karma is my friend, because I'm becoming human. I'm not human already as soon as I'm born. I am in the process of becoming a true human being. Otherwise, I'm just another person like the folks lining up for the vax. I too have been asleep. I too have not realized my full potential. But I think karma is a way to help us tidy up, I suppose, do the sums properly, however you want to look at it metaphorically. And besides which, it's almost a worthless question, because that's the way we're set up. And I don't see any way out of it other than to be done with your karma.
Or go back to source.
Well, I have a lot of people who say to me, yeah, I'm not going to come back. Well, you know what? You don't get to decide that as a personality, because I assume I'm talking to a personality. Now, after you're dead, I might want to talk to you again if I have the skills and capability to see how you're doing over there and to see what you think now. Can you just carte blanche decide I'm not coming back to the prison planet? I don't think so. I think this is the major school for most of us.
It's more
Not all of us.
suffering, looting, game, I mean, we're being used as fools in this game. It's a repetition. It's a never-ending story.
Right. And what will make that different?
Yeah, but what makes
up.
you say? What makes you say this is the only place, the only creation in all of the dimensions and worlds out there?
Because we and the Earth are like this. She is our planet, and we are her people. We are like this. She can't do without us, and we can't do without her.
That's where our consciousness has incarnated, which is not to say that they haven't been tricked to place our souls into this duality-based game, and where we were bound to suffer, and now being harassed and gang stalked by the totalitarian state out there, and forced to live with those crazy Nazis over time, over and over again, because it's the same thing with all the empires
for generations. Yeah, for generations.
Yeah. So
yeah, but the individuals among us may have a different trajectory than the one you're describing. There are individuals who are developing here, and they may be quiet and humble, and they may have some ideas of what they're going to do the next time around, because I'm very happy that I'll be back. I do not want to be free from this planet until every single human being is free.
And what if it never happens because it's just a prison planet?
Well, what if? Who cares? That's like a 12-year-old talking there. What if? I don't know.
If you look at human history, what is it?
I know human history. Yes, yes, I do. It moves amazingly slowly. Amazingly slowly. Yeah.
Well, right now it looks more like a premeditated mass murdering scenario and mutation scenario, and we're going to be surrounded by hybrids all over the place who are already zombified and who are zombifying their children. So it's not going to be a nice upcoming cycle to be living in or learning from, I think.
No, I'm as sad as you are. I'm as sad as you are about this. But it's not like I didn't see it coming if people didn't awaken. I've been talking and squawking my whole life to awaken people, and they have chosen their convenience, their comfort, and their self-centeredness.
The space fence, just a few seconds on that. The space fence, isn't the space fence used to lock us up a little more tightly?
Yeah.
Just like, as the limits of the Truman Show, you can't go out of the TV reality.
Yeah, it locks us between, like a sandwich, in between electromagnetic up here and electromagnetic down here. You're absolutely right. That's what it does. Mm-hmm. And we are locked in now. Yeah. I'm going to let that ring. I don't care about it. Hi, that's the space fence.
Please leave a message.
Right. So all this technology is designed and engineered to keep us prisoners.
It's mainly the reason it happened. I think you can see this. I didn't see it, of course, was to be able to now run transhumans all sandwiched in. We're all sandwiched in here. And what they need, and the reason they're pushing the non-vaccinated so heavily, is they need as many as possible before they totally give up and begin to work with what they already have gained. They've gained a lot. I understand that. And if you're saying we could lose this war that I'm so dedicated to, I think so. I think you're right. And then humanity will go in a different direction. And Rudolf Steiner was very clear that could happen. He was not one of those wanting to make you feel good all the time by God is good and everything will turn out. That's a New Age lie. No, it could all go south. But I'm giving it everything I have in the knowledge I have, just like all of us are, in one way or another.
So maybe you're right. You may be right. Souls are just bound by this earth karma, and totally prisoners of this earth karma. So they have to reincarnate. But our spirit, because I see spirit as something else than our souls. Our souls are so traumatized by their various
spirit's
lives.
Different. Yeah, spirit is different, but spirit too is tied for us as humans to our soul. It's tied. It's not completely separate from, and it's not an either or deal. You come in with 4 parts, says Steiner: physical body, etheric body, astral body, and higher self, ego, I am. We have these 4 parts. And this last one, this I am one, really kind of floats above us most of the time. It's not really in people completely. It's sort of, a lot of people, I think, who experience their angel, they're actually experiencing their I, or their higher self, because it never fully comes into the body. It's sort of, but it's always there, and it's connected to the soul. But I think you've got it right. It could be that it is unfair that we're tied to the prison planet. That we have to go through cycles over and over and over again, as en masse. Whereas individually, there's a whole other thing going on where some people are waking up and some people are, oh yeah, this and that, and they are preparing out of their own intention, their intent, for the next time around, which is me. I am very much now preparing for the next round. Absolutely. I'm very clear. I know what I'm doing. And, I'm human. And maybe it would have been better had I been like a bear or something, or an ant, or some higher being or whatever. But or living on another planet or in another solar system. I don't know, but I don't spend my time thinking about that. I get what being human means, and there's a great responsibility to it.
But actually, you talked about space programs, but the secret programs and those black programs, aren't they more geared towards opening portals and travel through dimensions, through wormholes and so forth, then going from point A to point B on a linear route and journey, which is like you said, the Van Halen belt and the radioactive barrier there is stopping any physical body to go through it. And isn't the moon landing a fake program? The Apollo program seems to be faked.
And you're right. Well, the moon thing was totally faked, of course. They never got beyond the Van Allen belt, but they want to be able to, because they want to mine the moon. That's the Van Allen belt thing there. They want to mine the moon. And to send humans up to mine the moon, there's a lot of different ores there, a lot of things they want. They've got that all figured out because they've been there. They have the technology to go there, and it's not rockets, for God's sake. It's not rockets at all. So to go in other places, first of all, there's no wormholes, but to go through dimensions, through portals, to go to all over the solar system, that's what they want. And you won't necessarily need a body to get through those, but if you wanted to keep a few human beings around in order to have that experience of other consciousnesses and planetary systems, I would think that even the smartest guys at NASA in the Saturnalian Brotherhood, which is doing alive and well, very well there, I would think that they would like to retain their humanity so they can thumb their nose at the divine and run the humanity themselves. And for that, they're going to have to keep some of this equipment here, and maybe some of the attachments in the spiritual sense of spiritual bodies. I don't know, but I tend to think they definitely want another model, not just for mining the moon, but for mining Mars too. Because the planets that are closer to the sun are very different from the planets that are out there. It's not the same at all. So they definitely want to do some stuff on Mars. And maybe that's another reason they need the new body. I don't know, but you're right. We can travel through the universe very quickly if we have the right bodies and the right consciousness connected to the bodies. I think it's a huge thing. It's a very I'm amazed by them, but these are the Nazis. The Nazis were the ones that came up with all this, with all their special black sun rights and all the things they knew about and learned about, and they brought here. The Americans are not, one thing I know about American scientists in general, they're just not original. They're just not original at all. So, they follow the tail in front of them kind of thing. And the Nazis are the ones that really brought this over.
It's an energy, basically. It's an evil energy, but it's, they inspired themselves after the Roman salute is the same as the Nazi salute. And it's just, it's all about energy breeding.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah, I just read. Oh, go ahead.
Teleportation and those jump rooms, the jump room program and time travel as well. The jump room program, according to, I forgot his name, the guy who ran for presidency in Seattle or San Francisco, what's his name? It's going to come back to me. He mentioned that he was taken as a child, not a child, but I think a child or a teenager, into a jump room by his father, and he travels from, he bounced from one end of the United States to the other end on another side of the United States. Do you think it's possible, or is it something?
I think it's mind control.
Yeah,
I've heard so many stories, and I don't know. I also know there's some really wild stuff going on. I know that, but when I hear a story like that, particularly from someone who is known in the media, I mean, a lot of the astronauts too, some of their stories, until you deal with the possibility that this is a mind control thing that is being loosed on the public to get them distracted from the business of, we're about to lose our humanity. So now we're going to think about jump rooms. I just don't have the time. Unless I can determine it wasn't mind control. Right. Then I'm interested. Like recently, I've read a book by a mind-controlled guy about cloning. Now I'm convinced there is cloning. I'm absolutely convinced. Yeah.
So cloning, I'm totally convinced about it. I remember his name now, Andy Basiago. If it rings.
Yeah, I know who you mean, and he is programmed. Yeah, because I know an MK Ultra who was programmed with him.
Oh, okay. So it's mind control on his end. The Montauk project.
I think so. They gave him that experience. They could easily give him that experience holographically, as you said. They could also give it to him with drugs. I mean, the mind control is alive and well.
I interviewed Randy Kramer years ago on the same night as I interviewed Edgar Mitchell, who's no longer with us. It was kind of funny to compare both sides, and I'm totally convinced that Randy is totally mind control. The guy who mentioned he was on Mars for 15 years or 12 years, I thought. And Corey Good is the same thing. I think it's an
Corey Good, absolutely mind controlled. Yeah. And when I say that, I'm not condemning these people. Mind control is like a hand on the gun, and they're the gun. They can't help it. They can't help it. They don't know the difference. That's what mind control does. Terrible. It's terrible. I hate it.
The role of the sun and the moon. just one last question, I'll let you go. China's artificial sun. What's the purpose?
Yeah, that's the solar simulator. It's nothing we already have a solar simulator in this country, and Germany has one, and China has one, and I don't know who else has one, but I talk about that in the new book briefly. Mm-hmm. The solar simulator is an LED mirror thing, and there may be a reason for it, because I can't remember. I never can remember this Finnish guy's name, but he worked in the nuclear industry for many years, and he has interpreted some. There's some outpost cameras that are running 24/7 up by the pole, in Alaska, and then further down south. And what is seen is this huge sort of, it looks like a planet. A lot of people, I think, passed the rumor it was Planet X or Nibiru or something, but it's like it's got pock marks all over it. It's rather ugly, and yet it's big, and it actually takes up the sky where the sun is. So in order to cover that over at certain times of the day, the solar simulator, according to this Finnish nuclear guy, actually is used to make it look like the sun is in front of it and we're still getting sunlight. But if you see the solar simulator, you'll know it because the edges of it are very, well, you can tell that it's not round. It's got like little choppy things all around it. And the light is completely white because it's LEDs. It is not golden like our sun. And it is used to hide the fact that there is this plutonium-239. Plutonium-239, I mean, it's the worst, floating around above the Earth like a weapon. So I tend to think this guy is right. And he is watched carefully by his own intelligence, but they know that he has come out with this, and so I assume they want us to know, because it's sort of in the rumor category, isn't it? It's sort of like Nibiru or Planet X.
Right.
But anyway, there's a solar and a lunar simulator, both.
Right. And the purpose is, well, you told us about the sun.
This is one purpose. This is right. One purpose.
One purpose, right. And what about the moon? Is there a moon simulator?
Yes, lunar. The lunar simulator.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Same reason for one of the reasons, because this thing is rotating. It's rotating with the Earth, but I guess according to the hours, they put it up for a few hours here and there. I guess they have an agreement with China. I don't really know. Otherwise, the most interesting thing about the sun is that it is very much they're following Nikolai Kardashev, the Soviet astronomers, 3 phases of technological achievement for any civilization aspiring to a space age. And that includes, besides full spectrum dominance over planet Earth, which is what they're working on now, control over our star and its systems. And they are doing a lot of experimentation with the sun, believe me, now that they know it's plasma. They've known it's plasma for many years. And then the third phase will be control over the galaxy and its systems. So we're at phase 2 now. But they may, in order to do things to the sun, you see, say they're experimenting with the sun, with the plasma of the sun. I don't know how big that could be. The sun is very big. I don't know that it's 92 million miles away. I'm really not sure about that. But imagine that you could use the solar simulator to hide what you are doing to the sun. You see what I mean? So anyway, that's my best educated guess.
Yeah, so volcano geoengineering is also part of the program, right?
Well, the volcanic is easy to understand. They use tomography to do that. They've got the plates memorized. They control all the plates now. that little plasma thing that scooted down into the crater in Tonga was interesting, because of course it could be one of the UFOs, right? From that, what we've seen many UFOs going in, coming out. What are those? Well, those are in that dimension that Wilhelm Reich and I'm forgetting his name now, but Trevor Constable, they explored that very thoroughly. And there are many entities living within this domain, not from other planets, not coming from anywhere. They're here, and they've been here a lot longer than we have. So that's the category I put them in.
Right, right. Well, it was great to have you. What's on your plate for the next few months?
Yeah, really, this was way fun. I don't normally go into a lot of these areas, you know.
Right.
I pretty much stick with my usual. No, right now, okay, I finished the MK Ultra book, and I'm finishing an issue on Rudolf Steiner for a magazine. And then there's some essays I want to write. I don't know what I'll do then, but I need to think about my life now, because this is the first time in many years that I don't have a mission. I've been driven by missions for, most of my adult life, where I have to start Waldorf schools, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. And now that was my last geoengineering book. I have said everything I can. It's time for others to come forward and start talking. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'll be writing more.
Right, right. Well, I'm sure you'll have lots to write about for the next few months and the next few years. It looks like it's going to be a hot agenda to go through, and we have to fight the trauma.
Here.
Yeah,
yeah,
and the totalitarian mind that is really harassing us. Well, it was my pleasure to have you, and then come back anytime, and Godspeed to you for the next missions that you'll take on.
Yeah, and Godspeed to you. I mean, it's been very fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Elana, and I'll keep you posted as soon as I come up with the
All right. Okay, sounds good.
Right. Thank you.
Adios.
Take care. Ciao, ciao.